Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for coming to this webinar to learn more about the good life abroad in Valencia, Spain. I appreciate it. We have some special guests here with me today. One of them is our community manager in Valencia, Suzie. Suzie, can you say hi to everyone and tell us a little bit about
Hola!
yourself?
Hi, I'm Suzie, a community manager in Valencia. I am living here already for more than 15 years. I grew up in Holland, but I'm half Spanish, and Valencia was like really a destination I wanted to live. So I came here 15 years ago, and I won't leave. I'm a mother of two, have my whole life here, and I'm having a lot of fun being a community manager.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have a special guest with us today, Robert, who was an alumni of our program in Valencia, who was just there last month. Robert, welcome.
Hello, I'm Robert Quiros, and my wife and I, Bernadette, traveled for a month to Valencia, and I'm a retired financial advisor from Tucson, Arizona, and my wife Bernadette's a retired kindergarten teacher from Tucson, Arizona, and just had a wonderful time, and I'm excited to talk about it.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Well, the city of Valencia, many people have heard about it. It's become very popular amongst people talking about becoming an expat and moving to Spain. Um, there's a lot of things that make Valencia special. And for me personally, it's always been one of my favorite cities. For me, I love Spain in general, but uh, I like Valencia so much because it's a little smaller than Madrid and Barcelona. It's a little more manageable. It kind of feels like a small town, but it's still Spain's third largest city. So it has all the things that a city you'd want in a city, but it's very, for me, manageable. And I love, for me, because I live in San Diego, California, I love the ocean. I love that Valencia has the sea, but it also has the city. And both of those things right next to each other. But let's hear it from the people who've been there. Robert, what did you love about Valencia?
Well, that was a great description, but when we got there and you someplace you've never been before, it's all kind of a surprise. But what really was good was our first day in the introduction when Suzie, we met her, and she was just wonderful. She reminded us of her daughter, and just she's always excited, full of enthusiasm, ready to answer your questions. And then she's backing all that up with a lot of knowledge. She knows everything about the city. So right away, she told us about what we were going to do and kind of our schedule. She took us around on a tour. She gave us all bus passes and took us on a bus, so we kind of acclimated to that process, which was great. Um, and so the whole time we were there, she was constantly communicating with us if we weren't with her through WhatsApp. And WhatsApp we were not used to, so I would recommend anybody going traveling abroad would kind of get more used to the WhatsApp. It was kind of a learning process for us when we were there. Um, but so we always knew kind of what was going on. We always knew what we were going to do with her. She was always giving us information about the things to do, the museums, the special events, the holidays. So it was just a really good feel. And it just kind of went on a smooth ride from there for the whole month, basically.
Great, thanks. Suzie, you moved to Valencia and you stayed. What makes it so special? Why do you love it so much?
Yeah, a little bit what you described. It's a big city, but still, it also feels a little bit like a town sometimes because I always run into people and you say hi, and it's like people live on the street here. So I like that a lot. It's very outgoing, very social. So you go out for your coffee and you go out for your going grocery shopping. Like you don't order online. You can, of course, but you go to normally to the market and have a little chat. And same for dinner, lunch. Like you meet outside and you run into neighbors, and yeah, that's the socialized part of that I like a lot about Valencia. Besides that, it's beautiful architecture and a lot of green. It's a very green city, good weather, more than 300 days of sunshine. So yeah, it has a lot of good points for me.
What's not to love, right?
Yeah.
Um, Great. So let's take a look at the city. Now, this is this whole map is all Valencia, and it extends a little bit further out. But I wanted to just sort of use this map as to illustrate the travel times between places. You could see in the corner there, if you were to get from the airport to your apartment, approximately, let's about 20 minutes. You're in the city center and you want to go to the beach. I mean, even with traffic, maybe 20 minutes. It's really not that far. You could even ride a bike out there. It's that close. You can see there's a train station right here in the middle of the city, and this train station can take you to other parts of Spain very easily. So it's a very accessible city. The airport's kind of out here somewhere. The beach is right over here. And there's one of the things to note, this big green belt that kind of comes like this. This is a really great feature of the city. Maybe Suzie, you want to tell a little bit what that is and why it's important?
Yeah, it used to be a river. So when the Romans founded Valencia, they founded it right where you see little inside the red center, like there's the historical center, and it was protected by this river. That's why it's not directly next to the sea. So, well, we had a lot of flooding of the river, and they decided to divert the river to the south of the city. We don't have that in the map, but it's more south. When you come from the airport, you cross that new riverbed. And then they decided to make a park here. One of the ideas was to make a highway. Luckily, they didn't do that because it would have been a very different city. But the whole park is, yeah, divided in different areas, designed by different landscape architects. You have parts for sports. You have parts for children. We have the City of Arts and Science, of course, the futuristic part of Valencia. So there's a lot for everybody, and you can just like bike through it, walk through it. It's without any traffic.
Yeah, and this is what I love about the city is that getting around is very easy in the city. So you can see these red dots. These are the metro stations. Robert, did you take the metro around?
Yes, we took metro in the bus, and it was very easy. Actually, Suzie walked us through the two apps to show us how to make the connections and everything. And once we got a grasp of that, it was a breeze. And one thing I found incredible was the Uber app that you use in the US. You use there, it's the same thing, but also they add taxis onto that. And it gives you an option of Uber or taxi. And when I used it a few times, the taxi was actually less expensive and it came just on time, just like an Uber call. Also, we found that most people, even though I speak some Spanish, not Valenciano, but people spoke English much of the time, especially anybody, I don't know, 35 or 40 and younger, seem to all speak English as well, if needed.
So language is not a big barrier. I tell people who are worried, oh, I don't speak Spanish, don't worry. Like you said, the younger folks and, with some sign language and maybe some Google Translate, you can get by fine. So, but getting back to the city, the metro system is very easy to get around. I even love just walking along the green belt. If I'm trying to get from one corner of the city to maybe another, I'll go out to the park and just sort of walk the perimeter. And you can continue to walk it all the way down to the City of Science, Arts and Sciences. So it's a very, very manageable city. The red lines, I wanted to point out, why are they here? I wrote those in. We're going to talk about our apartments and where we live in the program. Now, every session is a little bit different with where the apartments are because it has to do with availability from our property management company that we work with. So we don't know the exact apartments that you're going to have for next year in 2026. But I can tell you that the zone that we look at for apartments is within these red lines and at the northern boundary, the Turia Park. So this is all the very old historical stuff, but out here is regular people live there, right? This is like regular Valenciano people, grocery stores and shops, and all this, it looks big on a map, but this is all 10 minutes, 15-minute walk to get into the historical center. Everything is just not very far apart. although it kind of looks like it on the map. So you will live in an apartment somewhere in this area. In our last group with Robert, we were the group was, some of them were up here, some of them were over here in another building. Robert, which building were you in?
We were in the Juan Llorens, which was the lower to the left there where you are now.
Yeah.
And we love walking, and we probably averaged 6 or 7 miles a day, but that's because we wanted to. And then we would take transportation, to one point to another and walk the rest of the way.
Yeah, from out here, you could probably walk either there to that metro stop or to this metro stop, and then you could swing around. I think the line actually goes like that.
Exactly.
So what I love about this ring of the city is that it doesn't feel touristy. This is like local people living their lives, little bars and cafes. And as you get more into the center, this is very touristy. It's beautiful and lovely. We tend not to stay right in the tourist heart of things. We like to look for apartments that are just a little bit outside. We think it offers more of that living like a local feel. And when you go to the shop, you want to see what local people would buy, not a shirt that says like "I heart Valencia." It's not what we're trying to sell here. So I do want to kind of show the layout of the city and the layout of where our apartments would be. And regardless of which apartment building, we have a certain standard that we shoot for. They're clean. They're not luxury, but they're not down market. They're not economy. They're just clean, comfortable, safe in that central part of town. They all have in this photo, you can see the smart TV. So if you have streaming services, you can watch your Netflix or whatnot. They have a couch, a living room, little eating areas, a kitchen. It's like not a big, enormous American kitchen, but definitely has a sufficient, and they all have a washing machine. Now they don't have dryers. That's very common across Europe to not have a dryer. They use drying racks for the most part. And separate bedroom, a little desk area. Robert, can you tell us a little bit about your apartment and what was life like there?
Sure. Our apartment was very clean and very comfortable. It was small. And I guess if we talk about one thing I think is very important is expectations. And you mentioned it in the notes beforehand, but a lot of people either don't read that or don't realize it. But you're coming from the U.S. on an acre or two with a 3,000 square foot house, but you're going to an apartment in a foreign country in a small neighborhood in a small apartment, and it's different. And if you have different expectations, there was somebody who was upset about their washer or something. It wasn't like the one at home. Well, it's not going to be. And it worked well. It was great for us. But expectations, I think, are very important. You are in a small neighborhood, a neighborhood with a small apartment in a foreign country. So you got to know the difference. But all in all, it was very comfortable, and we enjoyed all of it. And when you're in the smaller neighborhoods, it's also very cost effective. You pointed out we're not in the tourist areas. When you go to the small cafes, the fruit and vegetable stands, the bakeries, things are a lot cheaper, and they're more neighborhood-like. So that was our experience there.
Yeah, Robert, I think you hit on a couple of really good points. I think it's important for people to know this is not a tour, and you're not going to be in the Ritz-Carlton. You're going to be in a comfortable, nice apartment, but it's different from coming from your 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 square foot house in the U.S. with the big kitchen. And it's going to be an adjustment. And I think for a lot of people as well who join the Good Life Abroad, very few of them live in city centers. They live in the suburbs. They live in a 50-plus community. They live in somewhere where there's more space and more distance. Here, you're living in a city, and there's the noises of the city. There's cars. There's trash pickup. I mean, there's people around. That's why you would come to this. If you don't want to live in a city, you should not come to this program. And we often hear, "Oh, yeah, the washing machine, it takes so long." Yeah, it's different. We don't have the big washer dryer, mega ones like here in the US. And that's just part of the experience. And we really try to communicate to people before they come. This is about having a different type of living experience. This is not a tour. It's if you want to live like a local for a month, this is part of the experience. So if you're down for that, we absolutely think this would be a great time for you. But just remember that it's going to be very different from home. Robert, talk to me. Did you cook? Did you and Bernadette cook much, or how did that work in terms of food?
Well, Bernadette loves to cook, so we did go to the markets. We did go to the vegetable fruit stands in the neighborhood. We did go to the bakery, and we did a combination of both. It's hard to avoid the tapas and the cafes around you and the cava, let me tell you. So we had plenty of that, but we did so much walking, and then Bernadette also cooked at home, and we had breakfast a lot of times at home. But even though we did so much walking, we didn't gain a pound, believe it or not, even though we ate Mediterranean diet is just wonderful. So we did a combination of both.
Suzie, anything you'd like to add about housing before we move on?
I think no, well, I'm kind of used to having a small apartment as I live in the city center. So I didn't think they were so small, but I can understand when you come from somewhere else, they are small, but I think they have everything you need. I mean, you're here a month, so like enjoy being outside, especially. Valencian people don't live inside the apartments. We're staying outside. We're meeting outside for coffee, for wine. They're very inexpensive. Like the social life, is more outside than inside the house. And of course, I mean, you can cook, but you can also go out. Like it's really optional, and you can really spend a lot of money going out for dinners. You can. They're very good Michelin star restaurants. But you can also spend like less than $10 on a meal, you know? It's really up to every traveler that comes here to see what they want.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big mix of the group that people do. Some people cook, some people don't. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was one of my Spanish friends overheard some of our community members talking instead of the small apartment. He goes, the small apartment, I think well, I saw the apartment. It's like a very nice apartment for I would love to have that kind of apartment. So it's all a question of perspective.
yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the community that we have, because fundamentally what the Good Life Abroad is, it's a community experience, right? You have your apartment, there's other folks, maybe some in your building, some in another building down the way, but it's an independent experience, but you have friends nearby and you have the support of our community manager, Suzie. And basically the schedule sort of works like this. You arrive, you check into your apartment, you get settled in, you're tired. The next morning we do an orientation. That orientation around 10 a.m. We don't start too early. And the goal of it is to empower you to learn how to live in the city. Like Robert said, we'll take you on a bus, we'll give you your bus pass, you learn how public transit works. Here's where you get groceries, here's where you get housewares. Like, it's not a tour, we're just trying to empower you to have this living abroad experience. That evening, we'll meet up for some kind of welcome party, start to get to know the other travelers a bit, have a drink, have some light bites, and see some of the city. And then we sort of fall into a pattern. We have our Tuesday lunch club, which is every Tuesday, as the name implies. And then on Wednesdays, we do some kind of cultural activity. It might be a walking tour, it might be a cooking class, something to that effect. And then Thursdays, we meet for a happy hour. Now, you might say, oh, okay, lunch, big deal, right? Well, the lunch club has a few different purposes. One, we use it as a way to show you different parts of the city that you might not go to on your own. So Suzie is very intentional with where she picks to go. So it's kind of taking you out into, hey, get to know this part of town. And then we use it also as a way to teach you about the food. And we might pre-order some things so you can try and learn about different local specialties. And then the third purpose for the lunch club is it's a time for getting together with the community and sharing experiences of what you've been up to. And if you remember, I said Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We don't have anything scheduled for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So on those weekends, people are off doing all sorts of things, exploring the cities. They might even go to nearby other towns. And so on Tuesdays, you haven't seen everyone for a few days. And it's kind of a fun time to learn what have you been up to and what's been going on. So actually, let me ask you, Robert, tell me about some of your favorite activities that you enjoyed.
Well, talking about the community events, that was really key for us because although we've traveled a lot on bus tours and ocean cruises and river cruises, when you get to a city and you don't know a lot about it, or it's your first time there, you figure stuff and kind of stumble and then realize, oh, we could have done it this way or that way. And one of the keys about meeting with Suzie is those 3 days, not only was there a good group that we had, a great camaraderie, but she kind of unfettered us. She said, okay, you can do this, this is how you do it, this is what you might want to do, and you do this. So we kind of like we're ready to rock and roll after that. We just took off. And so I think those 3 days, and we missed one of the events. I didn't want to flaunt my rhythm and do the flamenco dancing, so we didn't show up for that. And it's a joke. And so we, you can skip those events if you want to attend or not, but they were very valuable to us. And that really got us going on the city and acclimated and comfortable with the city. But we love so many things. The museums were outstanding, and I'm not going to name them all because that would waste time. But we love the museums. We loved the beach, Albufera. We took the train up to Sagunto and saw the castle and walked all through there. Even though we were there for a whole month, there was still a list of things we didn't get to do or would have liked to have done. But we did so much in that month. It was really incredible.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, Robert. One of the things that's worth mentioning on this webinar is really talking about the role of the community manager, who is the person who facilitates the sense of community. And Suzie is just so wonderful at this. But one of the things she does, obviously she's organizing these events and activities, but she also meets with each person at the start of the program and sits down one-on-one and says, hey, how do we make the most of your month here? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? And then she helps you achieve those dreams, and those goals. And so it could be something as, as simple as I would like to go to Madrid for the weekend. Okay, great. I can help you plan that. But it might be, I want to take Spanish lessons and I want to learn the language more, or I really want to dive into cooking and I want to, whatever your interest is, history, art, architecture. Suzie is a wealth of knowledge, and she can point you in those right directions and help you make plans to do those things that you'd like to do. It's really what I call choose your own adventure, right? Everyone can come on the same program, but might have a very different experience at the end of 1 month because of their own personal interests. Suzie, anything you would like to add about that or any of these activities?
Yeah, no, what surprised me a lot in the communities is that I didn't have to work so hard. It was me putting up some ideas, and then we have a member-to-member group as well on the WhatsApp where everybody that wants to can share, like, I'm going to that museum. Anybody wants to join? Or I'm going out for dinners at this place, or I'm going down to have a drink. And then people would sign up. I didn't do anything. They would come together and have meetings without me. But no, but that was really good. So I think everybody had their own time, their own things, and then optionally they would sign up for the things that would interest them, or they could find somebody that wanted to join them on their plan if they didn't want to go alone. So that was really, happy surprise for me to see that the community works so well.
That's great. Yeah, this is sort of a transition, but one of the things I wanted to dive a little deeper into what you said, Suzie, is talking about the community itself. So what do we mean? We say the community. So first of all, it's cohort-based. Everyone arrives on the same day. And before you even come, we do a Zoom meeting with everyone who's booked for that session. So you're really getting to know people. As you've heard, we have a WhatsApp. We use WhatsApp for our messaging within the community. And what happens is we have this announcement channels where Suzie is sending out announcements like, hey, we're going here tomorrow, or here's some cool thing happening in town. You might want to check out, some local fair or festival. When Robert, we're group with there was big religious processions, out by the ocean. I know you guys went out there. So all these things, she's sharing her knowledge. But then we have subgroups, and people can create groups around certain affinities of things that they want to do. People who want to have a book club. I know they did that in Barcelona, who want to go work out together, go for a run or a walk together. So you can start connecting with people. And exactly what Suzie was saying is this community, it takes on a life of its own, where now people are saying, hey, who wants to go out to eat or to drink or check out these things? And so it's much more than just the activities that we schedule. It's not just, oh, well, 3 days a week they do these things. The whole community takes on this life, and it's suddenly full of things to check out and people to experience them with. Robert, what was your experience with like the community of people?
Well, we really clicked together. It's funny because myself and two other guys had the same birthday. And so we were just laughing about that. And we had a couple different groups that we kind of connected with. And we would do exactly what Suzie said. We'd text them and go, hey, do you want to go to this museum today? And so we did quite a bit of that. So it's a great option to either, some people you acclimate to, others you don't. The group meetings are informative. So yeah, it all worked really, really well. I mean, you really must have thought this out well, because it did work. And we were already planning, we signed up for a trip to Barcelona, but we're still trying to figure out Barcelona or Spain, Barcelona or Paris. So we might end up changing, but the whole process, the event, the Good Life Abroad, we fell in love with.
Oh, great. I think that's a good time to mention also about the community. What does that look like? So on average, about 16 people. Some months we have about 20 people, some groups we have smaller, it's about 10, but it's somewhere between 10 and 20 on average across all of our cities. It's about 15, 16 people. I would say it's about 30% solo travelers. So if you're traveling by yourself, this is a great type of program because you have built-in community around you and you're not the only solo traveler. There'll be other solos in there as well. And there's couples. And one of the things I found, and Robert, you could speak to this, but I found that the couples are very inclusive of the solos as well. It's not, third wheel. It's like the whole idea of this program is a community, and people are always looking out for each other and bringing people together. So that's a really nice aspect of the program as well.
Yeah, Margaret, Nancy, and Deborah, they were single travelers and they all mixed in. We got along with them. They came with us in the groups. They felt very comfortable with us. So yeah, that worked out very well.
Yeah, just some images here of Valencia. Robert, can I ask you, like, was there anything, part of this webinars is about having alumni on and just giving a, unvarnished your experience. Were there any things you didn't like or challenges or things you would want to, warn people about? Or maybe it's simply about setting expectations in other ways?
Well, I think the expectations are really important, but there's not really. And I mean, it's hard for me to say I had a favorite thing because I liked everything. And I usually when I travel, I like everything for different reasons. But we just enjoyed it all. We like getting up. I usually at home, I get up at 5 a.m. and have my own little regiment. But there we kind of did what we wanted. Sometimes we stayed up late, we got up late. Other times we got up early and walked. So we love being able to be on our own time, which on a tour you can't really do. On a tour you're in a place for one day and then you're gone and you're up at 6 and you're changing hotels, et cetera, et cetera. And here we did what we wanted to. So we really had a relaxed feeling about it and very comfortable. And there was a couple days in the beginning where we were adjusting the time. We did it at our own pace, the 9-hour difference from Arizona. And then, so we just like doing it at our own pace. And that's the biggest thing.
Great.
And sometimes it's fast and sometimes it's slow, our own pace.
Yeah, I think that's the whole key behind the Good Life Abroad. It allows you to have your own independent experience at your pace, but then kind of connect with the community whenever you'd like. Suzie, anything you would say in terms of expectation settings or things you'd like to tell the group?
Yeah, expect it to be different. It's a different country. That's where you're going for if you come here. Like you have to have a travel mindset. Be open to meet new people, to eat different food, to not have the same as how at home because it's going to be different. And once you are open to that, then you will see there's so much to discover and so many nice people to connect with, like locals in the community, And you can, yeah, I think really enjoy a month, like enjoying life here, because that's what we're doing in the program. We're not seeing it as a tourist. We're really like living the local experience.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. We are definitely not tourists. We're travelers, or we're trying to have that local experience. Robert mentioned going away on one of the weekend little getaways. A lot of people do that. They'll have our program as their home base, but it's very easy to travel to other parts of Spain if you're in Valencia. There's a high-speed train, Barcelona. I think you can even, there's one train that makes it there in 2 hours. Then this is maybe on the high side. Albufera Natural Park is nearby. Robert mentioned he went there. I think the whole group went there as well.
Yeah, we do it as excursion together.
An excursion. Madrid, very nearby. So you can get around. Now, obviously, if you look at a map of Spain and you look at where Valencia is, it's sort of in one corner. Easy connections to Barcelona, Madrid, and to some other cities nearby. If you wanted to go out to like Seville, that's gonna be a much further journey. You probably have to kind of make a connection. So just when you think about where you want to visit, look at the map of Spain and think about what are the amazing things that I can see kind of around Valencia and those neighboring cities. Because I think that's a corner of the country that doesn't get a lot of attention. And there's so much to do and see in these towns. And a little bit of research, you're like, wow, there's so many cool things I can do during that month. And you don't necessarily have to go all the way across the country to see things. Although you can.
No, but even like we also have the airport here, and there's a flight to Seville, takes you 1 hour, like very inexpensive.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
or go to the islands, Mallorca. I mean, you can, if you want it, like you have the weekend where you can do that. So,
That's a great point. I mean, the airport alone, right? You can fly to Mallorca, you can fly to Bilbao, you can fly
yeah.
probably to Paris if you wanted to. So, the weather, I mean, Susie mentioned it's the 300 days of sunshine. It gets very hot in July and August, as you can see, but it's not crazy. It does get hot, but I was there once in July. You do have the breeze from the ocean, just the kind of I live in San Diego, California, which is sort of Mediterranean climate, never gets too hot, never gets too cold. And I always think Valencia is very similar. Now, the Good Life Abroad doesn't have programming in the middle of summer because we know the temperatures get kind of hot for people. I mean, Robert's in Arizona, so for him, like 80 degrees is nothing in summer. But you can see that it's really quite pleasant year round. And these are just the average temperatures. And in rainfall, what are the rainiest months, Susie?
October usually.
Yeah, October is a big one.
Yeah, sometimes March. This year it was March as well, but
March and October. But for the most part, and even then, I think it really just kind of rains for a little bit and then stops.
yes.
Obviously, last year we had the flooding, and it was, not normal that flooding. And for those people
No.
who are wondering about the flooding, we hear that often. Oh, did the city suffer with the floods? The city itself was fine. All the damage and the really terrible photos and the tragedy, the human tragedies, is all actually south in the province of Valencia, not in the city itself of Valencia. Is there anything you'd like to add to that, Susie?
Well, it's outside the historical center, so it's on the other side of the new riverbed. So that we didn't even see that area on the map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the city is, the city itself, the city center is working just fine, like always. You wouldn't know if there was some flood that had happened there. So if you sat through this webinar and you thought, wow, this looks great, I'd love to go check it out. The next step is you can go to our website, you can click on the book now. The most common questions, how much does it cost? Well, it varies massively depending on the season, what month, what size of apartment, how many people. I think on the lower end, it's about 5,000 per person. And then in the higher end, it goes up from there a bit. Each city in our portfolio of cities has a different price. So, Paris is more expensive than Palermo. which is different from Valencia. So it's sort of all over. I would encourage you to go, just click the book now button on the site, and that you can start filtering by destinations. You can filter by months, and you can see all the different prices right there. You don't need to sign into anything. You can just start playing around. You can see all the pricing. It's very transparent. And to be very clear, the price includes your apartment, your community manager, who's available by WhatsApp Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., includes all the scheduled activities, those lunches, those happy hours, the cooking classes, the flamenco class, the different tours. And it also includes your medical insurance up to $100,000 of medical per person and $500,000 of evacuation insurance. So all that is there. Now, it does not include your international airfare to go there. It doesn't include the $10 taxi ride from the airport to your apartment. And then you buy your food, your groceries. If you're like Robert and Bernadette, you did some cooking. Other people go out and eat. So that really, how much spending money you bring depends a lot on you. Depends on how much you want to go out to eat. If you're, like Suzie mentioned, going to the Michelin-starred restaurants all the time, you're going to spend a lot more. Well, or you can spend, €8 and have a great sandwich at a cafe and be full for a while. So the prices vary. I encourage you to play around on the website for that. It costs $395 per person to make your booking. A month later, you pay 50% up front, and then the remaining 50% comes a few months before you travel. And if you cancel, you can see the cancellation policy there. The first 50% is refundable. Your deposit converts into a credit, and you can move it to different programs. But if you get less than 45 days, it's non-refundable. And this is why we encourage people to buy trip cancellation insurance as well. Okay, we're going to have time for some questions and answers. At the bottom of your Zoom screen, you will see an icon that says Q&A. You may have to click into the 3-dot menu that says more. But within the Q&A section, you can click there and input your question. And then I'll just kind of go through the questions and call on, and then Suzie or Robert or myself could answer them. We don't have a lot of time left, so we may not get to all the questions. If we don't get to your question, you can send it to our office at info, I-N-F-O, at thegoodlifeabroad.com. Okay, so if you have a question, click to the Q&A icon. It might be hidden in under the 3-dot menu, and then type in your question, and we'll go through there. Otherwise, you can send it to our office at info@thegoodlifeabroad.com. So let's look at some questions we've got here. Is this a 4-week program? I'll take that one. Yes, it's a 4-week program. It's 30 nights to be specific. So you arrive, and it's that first night. And the 30th night, the next day, you check out, and off you go. And that's the case for all of our programs. Now, I will mention that many people will combine programs. They'll do 1 month in one city, and then they'll go to another city and do a month there. And for 2026, there's about half of our programs dates connect to each other. So you can combine and do multiple cities in one trip. And especially handy for people flying from the West Coast of the United States, because you're going all the way to Europe, you might as well stay there and instead of flying back and forth. Square footage of the apartments, they vary. I'll give you an approximate. It's about 500 square feet for a 1-bedroom apartment and about 650 square feet for a 2-bedroom apartment. Before you go, you'll be given the details of the apartment, and we'll give you the exact square footage for your apartment and the amenities. Again, all the apartments have roughly the same amenities. They all have very similar standard. So they all have, your basic cutlery and cookware, like a little Nespresso machine. We get you started with like a roll of toilet paper or a little bit of paper towels, some coffee pods, but after that, you're sort of on your own to go, go shopping for the things you need, but we provide the pots and pans and things that you might need, sheets, towels, etc. Typical size of the group, we kind of touched that on earlier, about 15 to 16 people. Okay, this one's directed directly to me. Is your company unique in this style of traveling? Are you the first to create that? Wow, I love that. I don't know if I'm the first, but I am. We are one of the few companies that I know of. I know there's a couple others that have like study programs where you would actually I think a Rhodes Scholar Elder Hostel has it's a 3-week or 4-week, but you're taking a class. And that's the experience. And I believe in there, I'm not 100% sure, you have to find your own apartment, but it's, as far as I know, this sort of live abroad for a month or two is unique to the Good Life Abroad. And we're really happy that so many people seem to like the idea and are coming to us. And we've been growing very quickly. How available are 2-bedroom apartments to be shared by 2 friends? Yes. Robert, did you have a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom apartment?
We had a 1-bedroom.
Okay. The 2 bedrooms, in almost all cases, have 2 bathrooms as well. I will note that 1 bathroom is usually attached to the master, and then the other bathroom is sort of not attached to the bedroom. But it's fine for 2 friends who want to have their own bathrooms. So one person has to go out of the bedroom into the bathroom, and so it's not en suite. More than a month, you could stay for more than a month. And this is some people do this. In fact, Suzie, didn't we have someone who stayed for longer?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one thing to note is that many of the activities will repeat. If you didn't want to participate in the activities, there is a way we can talk about separately. If you said, look, I just want to stay in that apartment after a month, I'm going to be pretty independent. We can work out something for those people. It's few of the people who want to just be completely on their own, but yes, we welcome you to come stay for up to 3 months. 90 days is the legal limit without a visa for people from the United States to stay in the Schengen area. 90 days in every 180-day period. How long have you been providing the service? So we launched officially launched. We launched at the end of 2023, but our official launch was January 1st, 2024, and we've had about almost 1,000 travelers now go through all of our programs in our different cities. So we've been experiencing a lot of uptake on this. But we are part of a company. I started a company about 20 years ago, a travel company, and we are affiliated with the larger parent company. So how long have we been providing travel services? For about 20 years. And then this specific brand, the Good Life Abroad, is only a couple of years old. Okay, this one I can call on Robert and Suzie. Tips for packing. What do you recommend?
Well, my wife's the expert, but we overpacked probably because you have a washer in your room. And typically when you go on a bus tour or a ocean cruise or whatever, you're trying to share on the ship or find laundry. So you need to take more clothes because you can't always get them washed. But we probably took twice as much as we needed because we could throw our clothes in the washer daily. And so it was really easy. And so from packing from a standpoint, I don't think you need to pack as much.
Yeah.
If that helps.
And also I would say for Valencia, layers is your friend, right? Because it's very nice during the day, and maybe in the evening, if you have like a light sweater, you put it on and off.
Absolutely. And we had perfect weather, I would call it, but does get cool and breezy at night. But I mean, the temperature was always like 65 to 75 somewhere. At the time of year that we were there, it was near perfect. It was almost La Jolla temperature,
Yeah. Suzie, anything you would say about packing?
Well, if you miss something, there are enough shops where you can buy it.
I think that's my tip is I like when I travel, I pack very light, but I like to buy clothes in that place because it's a local style, it's a little more reflective. I don't stick out as much. And I love there's a great department store, El Corte Inglés. It has everything you could possibly want. And I like to always, buy a piece of clothing for when I travel. And I like it. And it's like a souvenir when I remember the place when I'm back home as well. Are there any 2-bedroom apartments for 2 single travelers together? Yes, we have the 2-bedroom apartments. I sort of touched on that. Want to get accepted to the Good Life Abroad community Facebook page. We could take a look at your specific case for the person who wrote that, but that's a good reminder. We do have a Facebook group called the Good Life Abroad community. and you do have to apply, and there's some questions, and you have to make sure you answer the questions. Otherwise, we don't know if it's a spam, or we have all sorts of people on the internet doing crazy things. So we do look to make sure people are answering the questions. We check to see if they're in our database. And it's a community for people who are seriously interested in traveling with us, or people who have traveled with us. So that it's not a place to discuss, your next vacation with your kids, or politics, or religion. It's just a place really to talk about, learn more about the good life abroad. And so I encourage you to check it out if you're actually serious about this. You can see pictures from people who are currently on trips, commentary, the good, the bad, the ugly. It's all sort of in there. Deborah asks, can you combine 3 months consecutively? Yes, you can. You can combine with 3 months with us in the same place, which might be a little repetitive, as I mentioned before, or you can combine it with different cities. I know we have people who've done a month in Barcelona, or were signed up to do Valencia, and then go up to Barcelona and sort of have the whole Spain experience. And it's very easy to get over to Portugal or other places. So yes, you can combine programs. What time is the checkout? I believe the checkout from the apartments
11.
11 a.m.,
I
right?
think. Yeah, it depends maybe on the apartments.
Yeah, but I believe that's very common. It's normally 11. When do we find out where our apartment will be? We assign the apartments at 4 months before you go. And people say, well, I'm booked now, and a year later, I'm gonna go a year later, I want to know my apartment. Well, the truth is, so many people book, cancel, move, switch. Giving an apartment a year in advance is kind of pointless, because so much changes. And also, we're working with property management companies that they're trying to manage their inventory, right? So if someone comes in and takes this apartment, 3 months before you're coming in, they're going to book it for 9 months. The property management person is going to give them that apartment, and they're going to look for the available apartment. Again, they're all pretty much the same, the standard. So it's not like one is going to be much better than the other. But so you find out 4 months in advance, and that's plenty of time. And if there's any special requests, we can see what we can do to accommodate that. But for the most part, they're pretty much just the same apartments. Is it a timeshare? Nope, it's not a timeshare. You just pay for the program, and you come, enjoy, and go. And there's no recurring charges, no timeshares, no nothing. And there is weekly housekeeping included. The start date of the program is preset. There's start dates that happen throughout the year that you join, and everyone flies in together. I'm sort of cruising through these questions. Do one bedrooms have any additional sleeping space for a sofa bed, overnight visitor? Robert, did your apartment have like extra, like a sofa bed?
It may have, but we didn't open it up. I'm not sure. We just had a sofa.
Yeah,
We never had that need, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't
It didn't look like it.
Yeah, most people, when they have guests, we do have people who ask, can I bring guests, for example? And what often will happen, it's especially, our community, they have kids and they have grandkids, and then they find out grandpa is going to be in Europe for a month. They're like, oh, we got to go visit grandpa, because, what they'll often do if they're planning to have guests is to get a 2-bedroom apartment, and then they have this extra bedroom, and then guests come. Now, I should say, guests are welcome to come stay with you and whatnot, but we just ask that they do not participate in the community activities. We really take this idea of community seriously. Like, this is a community of people. We want to foster relationships, and if we have 15 people that all have guests coming, we've got 15 guests, suddenly we've got 30 people coming and going. It's like, well, who's really the community, right? And so that's one thing we ask, is that respect that the community is activities are for the community. We were welcome to have guests come. Apartments, are they in the same building? Yes. Some of them you'll be some in the same building. Some of the group might be in another building. I think in Robert's group, maybe you had 4 or 5 couples or people in your building?
Correct.
And then there was another building that had 3 or 4, and then there was another building that had 3 or 4, something like that. So some people are in your building, but it might not be the entire group. Can have friends visit? Yes, you can have friends. Again, family can visit. This person is asking if family can visit for 10 days. They can stay in your apartment for as long as you'd like. However, again, we ask that they're not coming to all the community activities. These are for the community. community members have paid for them. It's part of a program that we've structured. So if you have guests come, it's sort of up to you, but they're your guests doing activities with you. And what's the average age of the groups? I think this varies a lot. Robert, if you had to guesstimate, I'm not going to put you on the spot, what would you guess would be the average age?
60 to 65, even though I'm 70. My wife is, yeah.
I think, but I asked Robert because it varies from group to group. I did a analysis once. I kind of downloaded everything from a spreadsheet and calculated the average. I think it was 68.5 was our average. So I think the thing that really joins people together is not the age as much. It's one, because it's a program that's independent and we're not taking you on a bus places. People are pretty good shape. They're walkers. They got to be able to walk. So physically, they're mobile. And then secondly, these are people, I think, who have a deep love of travel. They've done the tours and the cruises. Like Robert was saying, they're great. Those are fun things to do. Now they want to go a little deeper in one place. And that's a certain type of traveler, right? And they want to really live like a local and experience that. It's not only about seeing things, it's about experience a different way of life. And I think that's the thing that unifies our group more than anything. Car rentals, Suzie? Car rentals? Sure. Easy, right? Plenty of places to rent cars. I'm planning on retiring in Spain. If I go on this program, would they be able to connect me with local apartment real estate people? Yeah, this is a good question. There's a fair number of people who come on The Good Life Abroad as a way to take that first step towards maybe becoming an expat, getting to see the neighborhoods, getting to feel like, where would I want to live if I moved here? And we had someone in your group, Robert, right, Suzie? There was a woman who was planning to retire in Spain, and or a couple of them.
Couple people, yes.
Couple of them. So you would not be alone in that. And then yes, we have connections to local realtors who specialize in helping expats move to Valencia.
Can I add something, Andrew?
Sure.
Kind of the ease, if you have a medical issue, a minor one, and I'm not promoting our health plans or theirs, but my asthma acted up there with, I think, the China berry trees and all the exercise. I felt great the whole time, was not sick. My lungs kind of were giving me a hard time. And sometimes I have to take prednisone or my inhaler. And I went to the pharmacy. Unbelievable. They're so helpful. You don't need a prescription. $2 for something that cost me $35 with insurance. An inhaler was $4. It cost €4. That costs me $35 and is $900 against my Medicare, just across the counter. So I was able to solve it all right there. And there's a pharmacy every 1 or 2 blocks. So if you have any concern about that, it was very easy.
Yeah.
And that's in Spain. I'm speaking specifically about Valencia.
Great. Thank you, Robert. That's actually great. We're coming up on time, and there's still a bunch of questions. So I'm going to kind of go rapid fire through a lot of these because they're just kind of quick factual ones. Northern Italy, we have programs in Florence. That's about as north as we go. In Italy, we also have in Sardinia and the island, and it's Palermo, Sicily. And we now have a program in Rome, Italy. Are e-bike rentals and charging available? Suzie, can you speak to that?
Yeah, there are a lot of bike rentals in the city, and a lot of them have e-bikes. You can take the battery out and charge them in your room, but there are a lot of bikes that are stolen from the streets. So you do have to watch out when you put your e-bike on the street. Be careful with that. Get a good insurance.
You have to lock it for sure.
Exactly. But you can also rent them for a day. I would normally recommend that. Rent them for a day, bring them back to the bike store, and just rent them out again when you want to use them. That will be the easiest and less expensive as well.
Robert, did you rent a bike?
No, we didn't. We thought about it, but I was kind of coughing, like I just mentioned, so that might not be a good idea. But that park, the Chiria River, I think it's 9 kilometers. And Suzie can correct me if I'm wrong, but so you can walk it and ride a bike in it. That's really a safe place because you're not out in traffic.
Great. Is February a good time to go? She asked. I'll let Suzie take that one.
Yes, yeah, I love it because it's normally the sun. I mean, it's colder, but the sun is shining, and that makes it like I think like you can feel the spring. You can feel it like oh, it's like it's sunny outside, so people are still outside. I mean, it does get colder, but yeah, I
But
like it.
also great, there's not a lot of tourists.
No, it's less, but I think Valencia is never that you think that it's too much tourist.
Yeah.
It's not that kind of city. I mean, there are tourists at certain locations in the center,
Mm.
but you can avoid them if you want. Just go to like a local bar, go to into the local markets. Um, it's not that we have like a huge kind of like tourist scams or something. It's not like that.
There's a few questions here about like which months and availability. Here, I'm going to direct you to the website. If you click the book now button, and then it'll show you the exact dates. You can filter by year, 2025, 2026. 2027 dates will be published in June, in the middle of June, roughly. So hang on tight if you're looking at 2027. But that'll be the best place to see the availabilities. Is there a drying rack in each apartment?
Yeah.
Yes, there is already a drying rack. You don't need to buy one. Check-in, I think, is in the afternoon, roughly. But most people arrive into Valencia in the afternoon because they're flying overnight and then connecting somewhere in Europe, either connecting in. Robert, how did you fly from Tucson?
Well, we went to London easily, but then we didn't get in until 9 o'clock and 8 o'clock, and I get to the apartment till after 9. So that was a little tricky, but I probably would have done it different, like you just described, if we had to do it again.
Yeah. So most people will fly in kind of overnight, make a connecting flight, and get in the afternoon, and you can go right to your apartment. The apartments are close to each other if you wanted to connect and meet up with people. That's a big feature of the program. Are there elevators? Yep, there's elevators in all the buildings, so you don't need to take the stairs. On the booking website, the icons are labeled 1 bed/2 bed. Yeah, it means it's just short for 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom apartment on the booking site. Is there an age restriction for renting cars? Suzie, do you know anything about that? I have not heard that.
I'm not sure about that. I
I
think after a certain age, you have to do a driver's license test, kind of. They do a test, but I'm not
I
sure.
have not seen that in the rental wood.
Yeah, also, you don't need a car because I see the next question as well. You don't need a car in Valencia. Don't go out with, like, I have a car, I almost don't use it in the city. You can better go take a taxi. Like, it will be difficult to park in the center. Use a car if you want to do a day trip. That's easy. Like, there are like a lot of car rentals next to the train station or next to the airport. Get a car rental and go out, do excursions outside. But for inside the city, it's not convenient. You don't need a car.
I've never had a car in Valencia, and I've been everywhere. And there's great public transportation.
Ubers, don't park, like don't, yeah.
There's no real need for that.
No.
Great. Studio apartments. We don't have studio apartments. But if you email our office, info@thegoodlifeabroad, we can talk about options if you wanted to kind of go off and find your own smaller apartment because you really want something smaller and trying to more economical. There's ways we could try to arrange that. Are we adding any cities in Portugal? At this time, no. There's so many countries in Europe that we haven't even got into yet. So we're trying to just dip our toes in a lot of places where we're not even in right now. Our program in Lisbon is the only place we have in Portugal. But that's eventually we may expand within Portugal, but there's a lot of the continent for us to still go to. So thank you very much. I know we've been a full hour here. I want to thank you, Robert. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. I love getting your unfiltered experiences. Suzie, thank you for joining as well.
Thank you. It was very nice to see you, both of you.
Thank you, and Susie's a keeper, so don't lose her. She was great.
And thanks to everyone out there who spent some time with us today. Really nice of you to learn more. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email our office, info@thegoodlifeabroad.com. Thank you very much. This recording of the webinar will be emailed to you tomorrow. So check your email. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.